Good afternoon. It is Tuesday, January 16th, 2024. Hey, how many times do you have to tell someone something before they believe you? Once upon a time, I had some friend that had some issues, and he believed that his past sin life kept God from loving him. We had many conversations over the span of several months, maybe even a couple of years, and he just could not grasp the reality of God's love for him. I still pray for him. Jesus told the 12 many times what he was facing in Jerusalem, and yet they were still surprised when it happened. He told them, but it just didn't seem to click. In Mark chapter 10, verses 32 to 34, and I'm reading from the New Living Translation, second edition, we have one of those situations. They were now on the way up to Jerusalem, and Jesus was walking ahead of them. The disciples were filled with awe, and the people following behind were overwhelmed with fear. Taking the 12 disciples aside, Jesus once more began to describe everything that was about to happen to him. "Listen," he said, "we're going up to Jerusalem, where the Son of Man will be betrayed to the leading priests and the teachers of religious law. They'll sentence him to die and hand him over to the Romans. They'll mock him, spit on him, flog him with a whip, and kill him. But after 3 days, he will rise again." He could not have laid it out any plainer. He was leading the way on the hill up to Jerusalem. Anytime you walked to Jerusalem, it was uphill because Jerusalem was up at the top of the hill. And there were many different groups that would travel up to Jerusalem, especially for the feast days, and it would be quite crowded. And they'd all be walking up the hill. And he was leading the way of this particular group. And that's an interesting place for Jesus, is to be out in front and be leading. And the disciples, they were filled with awe at his boldness and fearlessness. They knew they were expecting trouble, but it didn't seem to be bothering Jesus. He was just headed up to Jerusalem. That's where he was going. And they were kind of filled with awe that he had such boldness. The people were fearful. They didn't know what the future held, but they were worried about it. And there's a sense of just anticipation of bad things. Can we risk being associated with this man? Is this where we want to be right now? Is this the best place to be? And they were somewhat fearful about it. But then he takes the 12 aside, and he has a conversation just with the 12. He tells them there's some things that are going to happen. First thing is, I'm going to be betrayed. Now, he didn't spell that out as carefully as he did at the Last Supper, but at this point, he says, I'm going to be betrayed. And you can only be betrayed by those that you trust. And so he recognized that someone was going to betray his trust and betray him. Then he told them, I will be given a death sentence. Now this they did not expect. They wanted him to come in and take charge and rule. And he said, I'm going to be captured by the Jews, and I'm going to be given a death sentence. And then they're going to hand me over to the Romans. Now, their whole point of thinking about the Messiah was that he would kick out the Romans and put Jewish rule back in place for their land. And now he's telling them, I'm going to be handed over to the Romans. And then the things that are going to happen are going to be worse. They're going to be mocking me, calling names, making fun of me, spitting on me. Very few things are as degrading as being spit upon. And then flogging. A terrible, tragic thing they had all seen happen to someone else as they were terribly, horribly maimed and tortured by a flogging. And then he said, then I'm going to die. Now, they did not want to hear that, but he made it very plain that was what was going to happen. But then he said, but the Son of Man will rise on the third day. Now, Jesus often referred to himself in the third person as the Son of Man. But everybody who heard him and everybody who reads it knows he's talking about himself. And he says, I will rise on the third day. What a sense of tremendous hope. Can we believe the words that Jesus is telling us? Can we believe where he says he loves us with an unfathomable love? Can we believe him when he says he's coming back? Can we believe him when he says he cares for us? We need to believe in the words of Jesus. And I pray that in 2024, you will be believers in the word of Jesus. God bless you.